Today, I'm going to show you how to adjust the idle. Now you can hear this tuk-tuk, if you listen closely, it kind of goes while it's stationary. That's a good level of idle for your engine while you're stationary. It means your tuk-tuk doesn't cut out while you're sitting there. Now, if you're in the hill country or if you've just started a fresh day, your engine is obviously less hot. That means it runs at a lower idle and it has the opportunity to cut out early in the morning. A cut out engine will sound something like this. See, hear that? And then it cuts out. If your machine is cutting out and is idling too low, I'll show you how to adjust that idle and increase it, and it's very easy. What happens is, in the hill country where it's colder generally, your idle and your carburetor has been adjusted on the ocean, so down near the shores, which means it's hotter usually. So after that vehicle has moved from the hot zone into the cold zone, it'll need its idle adjusted again. Let's take a look. Just open up that boot. Now the idle, so behind your engine here, and be very careful, see this exhaust here as you're going through? This is hot and your engine is hot. So be very careful when you're sticking your arms through here. Obviously, if you don't feel comfortable, you're welcome to get a local mechanic or someone else to help you do it. But you basically get a knife, get that knife and stick it into this air intake valve. To adjust the carburetor, which adjusts the idle and the air intake into the engine, you can use one of 3 tools. The best tool, the flathead screwdriver. Second best, knife. And the third is your trusty fuse. Today, I'm going to show you how to use the fuse to do it, which is the hardest. But if you do have any of these tools, it's preferable to use these. You can go to a restaurant or a local store to get a knife to make it a little bit easier. Let's see. So I'm going to show you how to adjust that idle and adjust the air intake into the engine. So first you'll get a fuse, you've got one of these, and then we put it in and start turning. See how it's idling a bit higher there? And then if I turn it all the way to the other side and back, so just listen to the noise. If I turn it backwards, I've adjusted that air intake now, and you can see this vehicle is idling much higher. It's still stationary and it's idling high, and this means it won't cut out as much as you're driving it, and especially when you first started up that vehicle. Now, why don't we just increase this every time to a high idle so it doesn't cut out? It's actually problematic because as you keep driving the vehicle, if it's got a higher idle, the temperature of the engine is going to be higher after you've driven 100 kilometers, 200 kilometers in the day. That's why they adjust it to be quite low. So after you've started and after it's warmed up, it's not overheating the engine. It's much worse to have an engine explode than it is to have your idle low. So that's why we do that. And that's why when you're down, around the ocean, around sea level, the idle will be different from when you're in the mountains. And then of course, if your tuk-tuk's been sitting around or it's had some rain and it's a bit cold, the idle will sound different from after it's warmed up after about half an hour of travel.